Welcome to the Daily Record for Tuesday, May the 18th, 2021. My name is Pam. Let's begin with the death notices. Milton John Baylor passed away May 11th at Life Care Hospice at age 88 after a hard-fought 15-year battle with Parkinson's disease. A celebration of life services will be held May 22nd at the Oak Grove Mennonite Church. Families will receive friends from 3 to 4 p.m. with services beginning at 4. Robert's Funeral Home, Sherwood Chapel in Worcester. Melvin H. Good, age 77, of Dalton, died Monday at Shady Lawn Healthcare Community in Dalton, following a period of declining health. While battling multiple sclerosis for 30 years, friends may call on Thursday at East Union Mennonite Church in Orrville from 2 to 4 p.m. or 6 to 8 p.m. Services will be held at 10 a.m. on Friday at East Union Mennonite Church and will be live streamed at facebook.com Auble Funeral Home. Burial will take place at the Martins Mennonite Crematory in Orrville. Brian L. Jones, 58, of Worcester, passed away May 13th at Westview Healthy Living. A memorial service will be held on Thursday at 6 p.m. at the McIntyre, Bradham, and Sleek Funeral Home in Worcester. The family will greet friends following the service. Graveside services will be held on Friday at 10 a.m. at the Worcester Cemetery, where military honors will be observed by the 555th Honors Detachment. Connie K. Spittler, known as Kay, 67, of Worcester, died May 15th at Akron General Hospital. Funeral services will be held on Thursday at 1 p.m. at McIntyre, Bradham, and Sleek Funeral Home in Worcester. Interment will follow in Sherwood Memorial Gardens. Friends will be received from 11 a.m. until the time of the service at the funeral home on Thursday. Masks are required and social distancing will be observed. Dorothy Taylor, 88, of Worcester, passed away May 15th at her home. Friends will be received on Wednesday from 6 to 8 at the McIntyre, Bradham, and Sleek Funeral Home in Worcester. Private family graveside services will be held at the Worcester Cemetery. Miriam Turman, age 87, of Worcester, passed away Monday at Life Care Hospice in Worcester, following a short period of declining health. Further announcements will be later. Custard Glen Funeral Home of Worcester is serving the family. And that completes the death notices for today. So let's move on to our first article. City Council approves tax abatement for industrial expansion, by Bryce Buacki. City Council approved an ordinance giving EPAC Manufacturing LLC and Pittsburgh Avenue Properties LLC a 10-year, 75% tax abatement to construct a 13,200 square foot manufacturing facility along Henry Street. This abatement would save EPAC between $80,129 to $114,470. The city projects the facility would generate between $110,110 and $122,702 in new local property and income tax revenue. Nearby residents are concerned with noise pollution from the expanded facility, but EPAC plans to create a fence or tree barrier to mitigate potential noise. In other actions from May 17th, Worcester City Council meeting. Bob Evans on Burbank Road is one step closer to serving alcohol after City Council waived the required Ohio Department of Liquor Control hearing for its liquor license. The legislation to collect an outstanding $6,240 fee from a sanitary sewer extension along West Liberty Street as taxes are collected was tabled. Council approved the sale of a parcel of land at 224 East Henry Street to H.W. Hunter Properties, LLC for $152,000. This sale is the final piece of the puzzle, which will allow the community center's expansion project to begin. City Council members unanimously voted to grant Dominion Energy Ohio easements that would allow the energy company to improve natural gas service in the Innovation Park area. The Worcester Growth Corporation purchased a small parcel of land in the Worcester Innovation Park for $10. This expands the corporation's purchased land in the park to nearly 50 acres. The city hopes to create a green buffer space as part of this sale. The next meeting will be May 31st at City Hall. Our next article, Secretary of State's Office commends local boards of elections, by Kevin Lynch. In Millersburg, East Ohio Regional Liaison Alex Pavlov, a representative of Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRosa's office, paid a visit to Holmes County Commissioners Monday to share thoughts and insights about the 2020 election. Pavlov serves 16 counties in eastern Ohio, from Akron to Marietta, over to the Ohio River, and west to Medina and Holmes counties. The Secretary of State's office helps administer elections along with all 88 county board of elections across the state. The Secretary of State's office also serves as the front door for new businesses where they file articles of incorporation or nonprofit paperwork and many other legal entities. County boards stepped up during election. A couple things have been going on in our office since we last met, Pavlov said. We had a couple of elections. When we started this 2 years ago, we knew the 2020 election would be difficult, but I don't think any of us could have anticipated a global pandemic. The 88 county boards of elections really stepped up under a set of very difficult circumstances, he continued. They conducted elections very, very well in Ohio. Pavlov reported higher voter participation in the state than in any other point in the history of Ohio in the context of the pandemic, which created difficulties from a public health perspective. You have a tremendous asset in the Holmes County Board of Elections, Pavlov said. They did a phenomenal job, and so did many others. We're very grateful for them. The commissioners wholeheartedly agreed. I would just like to echo what you said, Commissioner Joe Miller said. Our Board of Elections has done a wonderful job. We're thankful for Lisa Welch and her crew and the board. Pavlov added his office also appropriated nearly $100,000 to Holmes County BOE for parking lot projects, putting money to work for the counties rather than sitting in a bank in Columbus. Voter registration to be modernized, Pavlov said the state is trying to modernize the voter registration system through the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. We'd like to streamline that process and add an opt-out option so people still maintain that choice, he said. We'd also like to streamline the process for minority business certification. In Ohio, there's several levels, including state certification, county and municipal certifications. We're advocating for legislation that gets reciprocity, so if you register with the state, you are able to do business with those other political subdivisions. He added the bill has bipartisan support and is an effort to cut down on red tape. Addressing Dominion voting machines, Miller asked if any of the counties in Pavlov's territory had Dominion voting machines and was curious if they had any problems with them. 4 of my 16 counties have them, and I think they are in 10 counties in Ohio, Pavlov said. There are no problems with them. I can tell you in Ohio, there is no voting machine that is connected to the internet. There is no tabulation software that is connected to the internet. It would be a violation of federal law to do that, and on top of that, it would break several other laws. There are no issues there. He added there are 2 models of Dominion machines, and the one he is familiar with are all paper ballot machines. The state supports 4 or 5 certified voting machine vendors. Pavlov said his office hopes to maintain state control of elections. Commissioner Ray Eiler asked how the mail-in ballots went for the state, and the response was, shockingly well. 2020 had the highest absentee ballot use ever. The 2020 primary was all mail-in, and the 2020 general election had the highest turnout in history and the highest percentage of absentee ballot use ever, with the lowest rate of absentee ballot rejection. More Ohioans used absentee ballots than ever before, and a lower percentage of those were rejected than ever before, he said. This showed our Board of Elections' capacity to turn on a dime, working 2 elections that were substantially different than anything we saw before. They deserve tremendous credit. We did and we do have trouble with Postal Service. There are always issues, Pavlov said. The current deadline is the Saturday before the election. If you turn in your request the Saturday before the election, you'll be lucky if you get that ballot before Election Day. That's a concern. We work with the post office the best we can, but encounter some regional issues. Up next, Mapleton hosts Junior Solar Sprint Car Competition by Emily Morgan. Orange Township. Middle school students harnessed the sun's bright rays on Thursday morning to power their solar cars in a competition to see whose car would travel the fastest. Mapleton Middle School hosts the 4th annual Rural STEM Collaboratives Army Education Outreach Program Junior Solar Sprint Car Competition. The competition used the same rules as the National Technology Student Association, the AEOP Junior Solar Sprint competition. The contest included 28 teams of students in grades 5 through 8 from the school districts of Mapleton Local Schools, Northwestern Local Schools, New London Local Schools, and Wellington Exempted Village Schools. All the students worked together to build a solar car using a required kit and customizing the design within the competition guidelines. The top 3 teams all came from New London. The first place finishers were the Three Musketeers team, whose members were Addison Yetter of Avery Bailey and Emerson Risner. Their car traveled 20 meters or 65.5 feet in 5.69 seconds. The winning team was 5.69 seconds and the distance was 20 meters long or 65.5 feet. Our next article, Wooster sophomore Hannah earns perfect ACT score by Linda Hall. In Wooster, it may be surprising just how high a mark Wooster High School's 16-year-old sophomore Jacob Hannah achieved on his ACT, but it's not surprising he did well, said his mother, Dr. Jody Hannon. She attributed her son's perfect score of 36 to his comprehensive interest in everything around him, from scholarly knowledge to random trivia. He truly loves to learn, she said, a fact confirmed by Jacob, who acknowledged his enjoyment of practicing flashcards as a child. One of his hobbies is tracking storms, he said. I've always been interested in weather, remembering watching the Weather Channel from the age of 4. He also noticed his interest in bird watching, beginning on family trips when he was little. Hannah mentioned more recently visiting the Toledo Museum of Art with his father and connecting the European paintings with the AP European History course he took last year. From practicing novel cooking techniques such as sous vide to filling his free time at the middle school with math counts, academic challenge, and competing in U.S. extemporaneous speaking on the high school speech and debate team, Jacob's curiosity has served him well, Jody Hanna said. Information provided by Wooster City Schools said in 2020 only 0.003% of 1.6 billion students who took the ACT earned a perfect score. I calculated that out, people, and that's 53 out of 1.6 billion. Moving on. But the rarity of a perfect score on the ACT isn't the first occurrence for Jacob, who suffered a stroke while on vacation at Hilton Head, South Carolina, during the summer between 8th grade and his freshman year of high school. Jacob was born with an extra cervical rib on each side, one of which caused compression against an artery. A blood clot broke off and caused a stroke. In a period of 8 days at the Medical University of South Carolina, he underwent 3 surgeries. He had a 4th in September to remove the extra artery on his right side. Jacob not only detailed in matter-of-fact fashion his unusual health condition, but also modestly explained how as a sophomore he had accumulated sufficient knowledge to earn a perfect score on an exam that tests information many students haven't accumulated until their junior or senior year of high school. Advanced placement classes and College Credit Plus courses put him a little bit ahead, he said, particularly in language arts and math. The ACT evaluates science, math, grammar, and comprehension, with the science portion focusing more on skill than specific knowledge. I did not expect to do as well as I did, he said. Scoring so high leaves a lot more options, he said. For example, applying to Ivy League schools, perhaps Harvard University. But at this point, his heart is set on Ohio State University. On Wednesday, he planned to take his 5th advanced placement exam, having enrolled in AP courses in calculus, AB, statistics, language, and composition, physics 2, and U.S. history via the General's Academy pandemic-based remote learning program. It's pretty rigorous, he admits. Every single teacher I've had has contributed to his success, Jacob said, naming in particular Christy Heiner, Wooster High School language arts and communications teacher, Charles Cerniglia, science, and Christine Mascotti-Razor, mathematics. Mascotti-Razor said she had known a few students who have earned a perfect score on the ACT, but never a sophomore. What they and Jacob have in common, she said, is being well-rounded and loving to learn. Jacob, she said, is organized, well-rounded, personable, and literally can do anything. Jacob said his twin brother Ryan also does well academically, but demonstrates the athletic prowess in the family, competing in wheelchair basketball and sled hockey. Jacob took the ACT in 8th grade and again as a sophomore when he got his perfect score. I don't think I'll have to take it again, he said. Our next article, Community Band to Begin Practicing May 26th by Janine Kendall. The WCHS Summer Community Band, sponsored by an anonymous donor for the Wayne County Historical Society, is looking forward to another summer of fine concerts. The Wooster Board of Trade Band, with its concerts in the oldest bandstand in front of the Now Everything Rubbermaid store, was an example of this type of band. The band will perform under the baton of Randy Clays of Wooster. The concert will be Thursday, July 15th, in downtown Wooster, in front of the Everything Rubbermaid store. Spectators will need to take chairs. If the weather does not permit being outside, an indoor location will be available. Rehearsals begin Wednesday, May 26, 7 p.m. in the Wooster High School Music Room. They will continue on Wednesday evenings until July 14th. Anyone who plays a band instrument, including percussion, is welcome to join, young or not so young, experienced or not. The group ranges in age from 13 to 94. The band will perform marches, show tunes, patriotic songs, etc. For more information, contact Clays at randyclays, CLAES, @gmail.com, or Jerry Payne, band manager at GMPAYNE at sssnet.com. And now, Goodyear to switch to soybean oil by 2040 by Bryce Buaki. For decades, engineers have used petroleum to make everyday products. It's still commonly used in everything from rubber and plastics to chemicals and asphalts. But this useful product comes from crude oil, which is often criticized by activists and experts as harmful to the environment, citing oil spills and fracking incidents. Recent studies from the last decade have shown that petroleum isn't as efficient as some once thought. Now companies, engineers, and scientists aim to replace it with plant-based oils, specifically soybean. The Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company recently announced its goal to replace all petroleum-based products with soybean oil by 2040. The Akron-based firm is one in a line of companies that have begun to partially or fully replace petroleum with plant oil. Switching to soybeans. Goodyear's search for a petroleum replacement began a decade ago when petroleum prices rose too high, so engineers like Bob Wolznick sought out cheaper and more sustainable alternatives. Around the same time, consumer requests started trickling in. They wanted environmentally friendly tires, said Wolznick, chief engineer in Goodyear's Global Raw Material Development and Approvals Department. We started to evaluate soybean oil and began a triglyceride. It had different chemical structure than your typical petroleum-based oils, he said. Upon reviewing their initial finding, a few things stood out. Soybean oil mixed better with the polymers used to create their rubber compounds, making it a very flexible option. Wolznick said it also has a low glass transition temperature, meaning it freezes at very low conditions. If you think of a higher performance summer tire, it's not really suitable for winter conditions because the rubber compound is formulated so that it grips the road in dry conditions and warm conditions, he said. When it gets cold, that compound has a higher glass transition temperature, so then, as the temperature of the air gets cold, that rubber starts to get stiffer. Soybean tires? Goodyear's first commercially available soybean-based tire was the Assurance Weather Ready tire, which fully replaced petroleum-based treads with soybean oil. Overall, Wolznick said this reduced petroleum use by 60%. The tire company has 3 other soy tires. Assurance Comfortable Drive is similar to its weather counterpart and replaces the treads with soybean oil. The other 2 tires, Eagle Exhilarate and Eagle Enforcer All Weather, use about 42% less petroleum. By 2040, Goodyear hopes to fully replace petroleum with soybean oil. Farming the future of rubber. Without soybean farmers like Steve Reinhardt and his 1,200-acre farm in Bucyrus, this goal would be a little more than a pipe dream. Also, a member of the United Soybean Board, Reinhardt works with Goodyear, Okabashi Shoes, and companies in the biodiesel industry to research the pros and cons of soybean oil use. Reinhardt has 2 goals: making sure farmers have good investment returns and creating sustainable products. We started a partnership with Goodyear back in 2008, and one of the ways we make good on a farmer's investment is through the checkoff program, so they will get higher prices when they sell their goods, Reinhardt said. Checkoff programs or research and promotional programs allow farmers and investment stakeholders to manage financial risk and pool resources when participating in ventures like the petroleum replacement research Goodyear has done. While soybean prices recently reached a 7-year high, Reinhardt doesn't expect this to drastically impact the market because oil is always in surplus. The first soybeans and funds were invested in 2010, but it wasn't until 7 years later when the first tire rolled off the production line. Other investments have gone towards infrastructure projects. Basically, that's going to help protect bridge decks and things that have a lot of use and maybe a lot of salt or some sort of irritant that they use to help maintain the life of those bridges or roads, Reinhardt said. Increased demand for soybean oil can only be good for farmers, said Brett Davis, owner of Davis Farms in Delaware. Our next article, Hawksworth named Nurse of the Year at Palmyrene by Kevin Lynch. Millersburg, the nursing staff at Palmyrene Hospital is special, as numerous awards and recognitions such as Daisy Awards and Top 100 Hospital can attest. So, to be named Nurse of the Year means you must be doing an extraordinary job. That's the case for Palmyra Hospital emergency room nurse Jason Hawksworth, the 2021 recipient of the honor. Jason is true Palmyrene, said Sarah Hofstetler, a co-worker in the ER. He would do anything for a patient, staff, co-worker. He's very deserving of this award. He is always a team player and is one of the most selfless people I know, she continued. He is literally willing to do anything for anybody. He's a mentor. He actually trained me down in the ED or emergency department. Hawksworth was surprised by the honor. Hawksworth was completely surprised to receive the award, especially seeing his parents, his wife, and 2 children on hand for the presentation. I'm so honored. I was so surprised, he said. I was taken aback. It was really nice. I was nominated with a lot of other great nurses. For me to be picked out was an amazing feeling. Hawksworth has been a registered nurse at Palmyrene for a little more than 7 years. The best part of my job is a toss-up between the people I work with, a lot of really great people every day, and our community, Hawksworth said. If someone were to come in from another hospital, they would have a huge appreciation for the people we get to take care of here. It's very tight-knit, family-oriented. You know half of most of the people we take care of, and it's that closeness and family-like feel that makes working here so special. That just adds to the experience. He said he enjoys making connections with people, someone who knows his mom or his dad or recognized him from high school. He graduated from West Holmes High School and attended nursing school at North Central State in Mansfield, along with receiving additional certifications. Parade takes place in recognition of National Nurses Week. In recognition of National Nurses Week, which is May 6th through 12th, the village of Millersburg held a Heroes Parade on Wednesday afternoon with local emergency personnel, Ohio Highway Patrol, the Holmes County Sheriff's Office, Millersburg Police Department, and several fire departments from around the county. The parade began at Holmes Fire District No. 1 at the west end of town at 4 p.m., drove east on Jackson Street with their sirens wailing and horns blowing. The parade came north up Wooster Road and ended at Palmyrene Hospital. We just want to thank the nurses for their hard work and dedication that's been going on for the past year through the pandemic, Huebner said. We felt they deserved the recognition. Proclamation honors all nurses at Palmyrene. The mayor read a proclamation honoring all the nurses at Palmyrene, citing their care for patients through COVID-19 on the front lines of the battle, facing pressure, anxiety, exhaustion, and burnout. You are burdened with the additional fear of taking the virus home and spreading it to your children and other loved ones, the mayor continued. It is difficult for words to express our gratitude and how we feel deeply in our hearts. On behalf of council and the residents of the village of Millersburg, we voice our deepest thankfulness, recognition, and appreciation to the entire staff at Palmyrene Hospital for your diligence, commitment, and sacrifice. You are truly angels in scrubs. Canned food drive. As another part of the National Nurses Week celebration, Palmyrene employees participated in a canned food drive. The goal was to collect 200 items to be donated to Love Inc. For each milestone of items collected, one employee would be dunked with water, beginning with Finance Manager Jason Rohr at 50 items. ER physician Dr. Reisinger at 100 items, ENT provider Dr. Guerin at 150 items, and CEO Jason Justice at 200 items. As of Wednesday, Palmyrene employees had collected almost 400 items. Well, friends, that concludes the reading of the Daily Record for Tuesday, May 18th. My name is Pam, and I thank you so much for allowing me in your home today. Please stay safe until we meet here again, and as always, my wish for you is abundant blessings.